had many, I guess, many styles and bands as influences when I was growing up. I think the first proper record I ever bought was Carole King, Tapestry. So I think at a young age I started, listening more to songs and songwriting from the age of about 10. But boy, through my childhood I went through all sorts of bands from, Deep Purple, Led Zeppelin, because I was around when they were. And then moved into some really kind of out there bands at the time, Gentle Giant, Yes, who I guess were a little bit commercial. And then when the Farris brothers got together, we were listening to things like Steely Dan, Little Feat, a lot of sort of funk and all types of music really, which I think is what comes out. Tough question. Which INXS album is our favourite? My favourite. I don't know. I kind of see, songs as like children. You give birth to them and you love them all. You don't favour anyone in particular. But I think probably Welcome to Wherever You Are, because it was a very different album for us. It was one where we allowed ourselves a lot of freedom creatively, and probably Switch. The most recent album, because we recorded it in such a quick way, in such a spontaneous way, and I think it sounds really fresh, and probably our most INXS sounding album to date, I think. The most rewarding feeling this tour, I think without a doubt just the audience reaction. It's been amazing. We're so grateful that we've had a second chance, and that we've got sold out shows with incredibly enthusiastic audiences. At the devil's party, there's no light from the sun. The song I'd most like to do a video for off Switch would be probably Devil's Party. I think it could lend itself to a really great video, a really kind of naughty video. I think just kind of a real party, loungy, just everyone sort of lying around, and just very kind of sexy kind of party video, really. In a club or something like that, but sort of not a stand-up and dance club, more of a sort of lounges and lush kind of setting. As a band, we try and treat every place we play in, whether it's a club or a theatre or an arena or a stadium, we try and make it feel small and make the whole audience feel like they're connected. I guess it's kind of impossible with a stadium kind of show, but I don't prefer really. There's good and sort of bad points of both. I mean, with a club, you're really up close and personal with the audience, and with a stadium, you really only see the first kind of 10, 20 rows of people, and then it just becomes a sea. It's all good though. Oh, my most hated sounds and my most favourite sounds. I think the worst sound in the world is jackhammers. Probably, construction, which we seem to always get a lot of. When you stay in hotels, there always seems to be construction nearby. That's the pits. And my favourite sound, I think, is water, really. Ocean, like waves breaking, or waterfall, that kind of thing. I guess the most touching experience we had really was after Michael died. The flood of sympathy, letters and emails and all that sort of thing was overwhelming. Just the response from the public to us and to Michael, obviously, in his memory was fantastic. People come up and, I think as we're travelling around and sort of coming back to places, a lot of them for the first time since Michael died, it's still quite fresh in a lot of people's minds, and I think we tend to forget about that because we've done a lot since Michael died, and And you know, no disrespect to Michael or our legacy with Michael, but you know, we've moved on. It's something you have to do. So yeah, but you know, obviously a huge part of our life, and obviously a huge part of our career, and you know, we miss him incredibly. One song that describes my life. I hate these questions. Probably, he works hard for the money. It's an old one, you know, because we work really hard, I think. I don't know if that describes me or the band, really. That'll do. I love them all. I've always been a big fan of the remixes, and you know, we started doing them back in the sort of early to mid 80s, really, way before you know, dance music became sort of really big. I don't know, I guess the most recent one, because there's been quite a few recently, Tall Paul did a version of Never Tear Us Apart called Precious Heart. And I met him a couple of times, actually, great guy, and I guess I appreciate that one to a greater extent because he spent weeks on it trying to get the vocal off the track by doing special tricks, when all he had to do was ring us up and say, can I have all the bits of music, and and he would have saved himself about a week of studio time. But I really like that one, and then funnily enough, there was quite a few we did off the X album, which was, you know, really the peak of house music in the UK and across the planet. And I loved Pete Lorimer's version of Bitter Tears. What else? Paul Oakenfold too. He did one of Suicide Blonde, which was fantastic. We're always open to it, really. But I'd love to work with someone like Stevie Wonder or Prince. I think that'd be really cool. Especially Prince, because we kind of you know, came out really sort of around the same time, and you know, went through the 80s and 90s and are still going as he is. I really like her. There's an English girl called Imogen Heap. I think she's fantastic. She's just brought out an album that she produced herself and did virtually everything on it herself, which is just brilliant. I'd love to work with her. I like to shop at my stylist's place. No, I like New York. I mean, you know, New York's the place where you can just get anything you want. And I love New York for a start. But also like a lot of the sort of up and coming designers, you know, the young ones that kind of haven't really been quite discovered yet. There's a great bunch in Auckland and New Zealand, believe it or not. So yeah, I tend to steer away from the big designer stuff because it's just way too much money, and all you're paying for is the label. You know, I prefer to find stuff that's a bit more obscure and doesn't have the hefty price tag.